All right, welcome back, gardeners. We are at a new project which I'm super excited to show you because this is a first for Homegrown Gardens. In this property, we are not only going to be building our first custom compost bin, but we're actually going to be working with worms. Let's go see what it looks like now. One thing I always consider when I look at a client's home, I want to make sure the aesthetic stays in line and congruent with what's already here. So if you look down, we're actually stepping on asymmetrical bluestone steppers, which ends as we get into the backyard. So you can see how it just kind of stops here in the sod. We're going to fill in the gaps and connect all the dots. She puts a lot of her garden supplies in this shed here. So we'll be building a bluestone pad that when you open the door, you can take your wheelbarrow out step onto the continued path here of the bluestone, and then we'll go into the garden space. So one thing I love about this client, knowing that they were building this brand new home, is that they knew rabbits were going to be an issue. So they naturally put a fence up. We actually will be keeping the fence just to kind of keep the boundaries in, but still do elevated raised beds to get her off the ground. She's actually had some critter issues happen, even with the perimeter quote unquote secured. It's clearly not. She said that she had this kale that's actually gotten eaten down. And then you can see over here, some of these big kale leaves have been chomped on from some sort of animal. So she has a little bit of a false sense of security with this fence. So hence we are building raised beds to give her a little added protection. When you come into this garden space, you'll be coming in under an arbor. We'll have perimeter boxes around the edge with two big trellises in the back. And it's important to work behind your trellis. So we're actually keeping the path open so you can tee off and then work your vines behind the trellis over here, and the same thing on that side. We actually have enough depth in this garden space. We'll be popping in a central focal point garden box that you can actually walk around. So it's a walk-through garden. As we exit the garden, we're actually going to turn right here out of it, and the story continues. So as we turn a corner, this whole area is going to be our compost and worm farm area, which I'm super excited about. I know a whole lot about vegetables, and this client, Amy, knows a ton about worms, so I'm very excited to learn more about that. But this is a sub pod that essentially she's composting in and growing worms. So we will be repurposing this. We want to keep this intact. It's just going to get moved to the side over here. We'll clear all of this brush out, and then we're going to upgrade her compost tumbler. It takes quite a long time to get compost from a tumbler, so we're going to upgrade her into a 3-compartment custom-built compost bin. We still have one more fun thing that we're building here. In front of these beautiful red buds that will show off in the spring, we're actually putting one more raised bed with a big long trellis to house raspberries. She really wanted raspberries in her garden space, and they're very thorny. So we talked about putting it inside the garden, but it really didn't land, given that you'd have to kind of sneak around your berries. So we thought, let's just give it a separate area. She has plenty of real estate for her 4 kids, and then it'll provide a nice little backdrop in front of these red buds. All right, well, here comes the worm expert now.
I brought snacks.
Hi, Amy. You brought snacks?
I brought snacks.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, wait, these aren't for us. These are for the worms.
These are for my worm
babies.
These are
for the worm babies. I love this so much. This is my awesome client, Amy. She is actually going to teach me and you and all of us here about worms. This is something that's so vital to the soil health, to the health of the environment. So I want to let you lead the show here and teach us what this is all about. Because honestly, I'm a newbie. We know a lot, I think, in this world about composting, right? But we're actually adding another layer onto the composting idea. We're adding in worms.
Yeah, and the worms, they make it, the soil or the humus that's created so much richer, and they do an amazing job of composting. It's just a matter of creating it the right food, right? They like the food to be smaller and all cut up, and this is my new trick, is putting it in the freezer.
Okay, I was just gonna ask, because this looks cold. This is a good thing?
This was a new thing that I read, and the fact that you won't create any smell. Sometimes the compost will tend to get a little, start to mold if you wait too long. So if you just throw your scraps in the freezer, there's no smell, and it also provides little hydration and water that is needed for the worms.
So the first things first, we have a lid here. We open up the lid. Now talk to us about this blanket. What is this blanket?
This is a worm blanket, but it keeps the moisture in.
Got it.
It just keeps extra heat if you need it.
Okay, cool. So we have small food scraps that are frozen. That'll add a little moisture. We're just gonna dump it in.
I have some coffee filters. So that's gonna be kind of our browns for this round.
Right, so we
process.
want some organic material, which is all the little food scraps, but then we also want some dried brown things. So that could be leaves, that could be coffee filters, newspaper. Is that okay to put in?
Newspaper is great. Cardboard, rip up my egg cartons.
So some dried,
my kids'
brown material.
Homework, we shred it up and put it in there.
How convenient. Oh, I got an F. That's going in the worm bin. Nobody will know.
Pour it back on. We avoid meat and onions. I don't do onions.
Okay.
Worms apparently don't love onions.
Worms don't love onions. Who knew?
This is what's easier for my kids is they just, can throw their banana peels, whatever. And then I move this
into the tumbler.
tumbler.
So the tumbler does not have any worms. This is just purely a compost bin.
So then to aerate, you just
tumble it up.
Tumble it up.
I appreciate the lesson. So thank you so much. We're gonna be starting this in the next couple of weeks. The story will continue with the worm saga. How cool is this? We are back at my most exciting worm creation ever. We're checking in on the progress. I actually got this garden space planted with the client about a month ago. So we're gonna go see how these little vegetable babies are doing and check in on our worm friends. You never know where life's gonna take you. So we've made some really good progress in the last month. We actually had to take a little hiatus though to go up north to Wisconsin and build a garden space for a kids camp. So we will be back on site for this project in just a couple days to wrap things up. But let me show you how things have turned out so far. We've started to connect the dots, as you can see. When we come off this path that was already existing, it transitions beautifully into our decomposed granite, which sneaks you around the corner to her doors, and then obviously into the garden space. Hi, Amy! So before we take a garden tour, it is Worm Wednesday here at the Cahills, and we need to feed these little baby worms. So LaRue, you want to do the honors? This is an impressive amount of growth, like hands down A++. Your arugula is coming in really nice. That looks wonderful.
I've been making everyone little parsley drinks.
Oh, I love it. Look at your kale.
The kale has been amazing.
You really wanted kale.
Yes,
so
and
we got your kale. Yeah, you have
kale.
kale everywhere in here. It's a kale garden.
Tell the neighbors that no one needs to buy kale for the rest of the
summer.
Nope.
Have you tried one of these bad boys yet?
Our neighbors did, but I haven't.
Okay, so I'm curious to see what you think of them flavor-wise. This is a purple cayenne, essentially. It's called Buena Mulata, and she's a spicy little gal.
So what would be the easiest thing to do with that?
Dehydrate it, and you'll have purple cayenne pepper. To eat it raw, it's gonna be really intense, but if you dehydrate it and powderize it, then it'll probably mellow out where you can control the amount you're putting in a dish.
I actually made it look so pretty. I'm just kind of letting
beautiful.
it.
I know.
It be the tree.
Sometimes it's okay just to like grow things for its beauty, and that's where Miss Buena Mulata falls in. That's why she's front and center in the garden space.
You're gonna just eat it straight up?
Yeah. So you just did the perfect job of how to prune your basil. So when you harvest your basil, you want to make sure you cut from the top down, because in hot weather, it's going to want to flower, which stops the vegetative growth. So when you harvest, go down the stem to where the next new shoots are, and you can either pinch or cut them off.
All right, we should put it in our basket.
She's like, nom, 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 nom. Parsley is a really good herb that you just literally cut and it grows back. Cutting will actually help promote new growth, so it's important to give it a nice little prune, a little harvest. We have a game plan for the compost bin. This little blank spot here will soon be built out. We got the worms moved over to their permanent home. They're gonna be happy and nice over here. And then this real estate will be our compost bin. So we'll be back on site probably within a couple days. We should have all of this wrapped up in another week or so. We have to build out the little pad where that door is. We're putting in a little hardscape pad. We're gonna pop in some alliums in front here to help draw in the pollinators, some catmint close to the house, and then that should be it, and we'll be all wrapped up. So I'll see you in a couple weeks for the final reveal. We are back for the final check-in on this beautiful transformation. Not only am I excited to show you the final details of this project, but what's really exciting is that I discovered there's some pretty unique garden-specific history to this exact lot. So let's go back, scope it all out, and talk with the homeowner, Amy, on what that is. First, I want to show you the features you did not see last time. We installed this beautiful decomposed granite path that weaves not only to the garden space, but it actually juts around and leads to a door. Prior to this path being here, there was just sod. So when you opened these big, beautiful doors, you stepped on to nothing. So we gave it intention. We put in a beautiful blue stone pad that matches her existing patio. And then we actually decided to bump it out another notch because she has one more door hanging out back here. So why not tack it on and give this home a little bit more intention to connect the dots? So now when you exit the house there, it takes you straight to where all the magic happens. One super fun thing about this project is that we've built our first compost bin. So I'm super excited to show you what this looks like and how it turned out. The beauty about this bin is that we used the same exact lumber as what we used to construct the garden space. So it actually is extremely custom and it looks intentional, like it matches. When we fashioned this up, we decided we only had room for 2 compartments. A traditional compost bin has 3, but this will be just fine for the operation she's got going on. There's a convenient lid that opens up for you to simply throw your kitchen scraps in from above. And then we have a pocket below that is secured with this little hook. So when you're ready to get your compost out after it's processed and become black gold, you can simply use this little hatch door at the bottom to get your compost out of here and into the soil where it belongs. But one final thing, we had rabbit issues here, unfortunately. Turns out thorns do not keep the bunnies away. So we decided to elevate what was once a 1 foot tall bed into 5 boards tall, essentially 2.5 foot. We've had no issues since then. I have recruited Amy once again, my worm guru goddess here, to teach us more about her operation here.
We try.
You're doing quite well. And we also have Mason. This is Mason. He is a garden lover now. You helped me plant, right? You helped us plant. How was that?
Very fun.
Before we check in with the worms, we are gonna check in with the history of this property. It's a beautiful new build and it's an expansive lot. But before Amy got here, what did it look like?
It was a beautiful garden. Now, when I say beautiful, it was in its prime.
Okay, here, let's use our nice new table for this.
It was a beautiful garden where the house was where they slept and they lived in the gardens. And a couple that lived here before us, they knew every plant, every species. This is a list of everything she planted throughout their time here. And they lived here for 45 years. She mowed the lawn until I think she was either 89 or in her 90s.
Wow.
Inspirational people. They had their pollinator garden. I feel like she was ahead of her time.
Love
so
this.
a really amazing people. And as they aged, some of it got overgrown. So it was hard we couldn't quite maintain it. Her mission or her thoughts, we try to keep it alive and hopefully can continue to plant more trees. And when we moved here, we planted 48 trees.
I love that.
Throughout the property.
Yeah.
To try to keep their thoughts and stuff alive.
You did leave one plant here, right?
Yes, right here. It looks a little dead.
Peonies get powdery mildew too, unfortunately.
But it's in the spring. It looked beautiful. Imagine the pinks and the bright colors.
It's okay. I mean, it happens and it's super shaded back here, so I'm not surprised. But I love that you kept a little piece of that history. And even though we're honoring it in our own way, like that still exists and that's really beautiful.
And also when we, before we built, we had the Elmer's Garden Club, family, friends, all take as much as they wanted from the gardens.
So what was here before, this en masse of perennials, a lot of people came, dug them up and took them out. It makes my heart melt. And I'm so thrilled that we got to create this
They were amazing people.
Yeah, well I hope
I hope we can live up to it.
I hope we can live up to it. Let's keep continuing to, plant the plants and keep the beauty going. All right, so it's worm time.
So we've got our new composter here. So this will kind of take the place of the tumbler behind us. I'm excited to try this because I'm gonna put this compostable bag from the grocery store. I hate to use bags from the grocery store, so I always bring my own. A lot of them are not compostable in your home. Your home facility. So this one you really have to look for.
I see.
And backyard composting.
So you do have to read the fine print.
Yes. So I'm always nervous to give these to my worms. So I'm excited about it to throw it in here and see what happens. And then Mason, do you want to do the honors on
what do we got in there?
What we've been eating? Or what we haven't
the leftovers.
The one thing that I think I need to upgrade is a more powerful, stronger
that makes sense.
Apparatus for turning. This will take a long time, but you have so much space and we have 2 sides.
Yep.
So
You'll fill this up first and then switch over? Is that the game plan?
And this is the easy part, right?
Cool.
And you just throw it in.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for letting me transform your property.
Oh my God.
I know we got some other ideas cooking, so we'll see what happens in other pockets of your property, and I might be back.
I know. I feel like we need more pollinating flowers.
Yeah, it's pretty green.
Yes, we definitely need some like pops of color, but that are, you know, like colorful and doing good things too.
100%. What's your favorite color?
Turquoise.
Turquoise. All right, I'll find a turquoise flower for you. Is now turning orange, which I love to call this 2-in-1, meaning that you need to omit that little gesture I just did. Okay, that was inappropriate. Hide your eyes, children.